What's going on, everybody? Today we have got a bit of a fun video here on the channel that I've been wanting to kind of put together for a little while, but it's required some testing throughout my Twitch save, which thankfully I now kind of have the data, I guess you can say, to now bring out the video to all you. We're going to be talking about scouting today. Now you can find the best young talents in the world of football for the cheapest prices and be able to turn a huge profit once you sell them on. So first we're going to have some player examples for how much I brought them in for and then what their value is at now. So Felipe Aguilar, I brought him in for $7.5 million from San Lorenzo in Argentina. He is now valued at 31 to 42 million pounds, and with that potential, it's only going to go higher. Another player from Argentina, from Lanús, Jose Ramirez, 7.5 million pounds once again, already valued at 24 to 34 million pounds, and with that potential, once again, going to get higher. Right here we have Oscar Siujak, a half English, half Polish winger that I brought in from Reading for 7.5 million pounds. That was his release clause. Already valued at 40 to 57 million pounds. And with that potential, probably going to end up being towards 100 million pounds. And another player that will turn a huge profit for sure is Mr. Michel Basso. Brought him in from Cesena, Italian winger, or number 10. 3.1 million pounds, already valued at 20 to 29 million pounds, with potential to go even higher. So what exactly is this showing? Well, I was able to go to some major nations actually and bring in some young talent for very cheap prices, and whether they stay here at the club and play for me or I end up loaning them out, developing them and selling them on for major profits, we're going to make some big time money. Now, how exactly am I finding these players though? Well, here's method number one. Look at the relegation type clubs, the ones that are going to be going down, or freshly promoted clubs that you think will be going down. That's going to be target number one on finding some very good youngsters that will end up being able to be sold at cheap prices. That's how I got Michel Basso, the Italian from Cesena, for 3.1 million pounds. Method number two is making sure to look at, yes, you can look at the top 5 countries, meaning England, France, Italy, Spain, and Germany, but you're not going to want to look in those top tiers. You want to look beneath those top tiers. And the second, third, fourth, maybe even fifth tiers of football within those leagues to find some of these super cheap and very good players potential-wise. That is how I ended up finding Siujak at Reading for 7.5 million pounds. Because we all know if he was at Chelsea, he'd be worth 150. And then finally, you are going to want to target the South American countries if they are the major ones in the off-season. That is when you can get them cheaper. That is when I got the 2 players that I did from Argentina, was in the off season. I even loaned one back just so that he could play for the next season and then get a little bit of development because he wasn't going to be ready yet for my first team. But if you're doing that in Argentina and Brazil, especially, you're going to be able to bring in some very good young talent for far cheaper prices. But that is not the only method that I have been testing out to bring in some better youngsters at far cheaper prices. I have some incredible targets right now at just absolutely like mind-blowing prices for the talent level that they not only are currently at, but that they will end up getting to as well. So right here we see my Wonderbread Wonderkid shortlist. There are 19 players on it currently, and the highest transfer value for any of them is 9.2 to 11 million pounds. And that's only because he transferred from Japan to Bayer Leverkusen. He ended up choosing Bayer Leverkusen over going to my club at Southampton. But if I am looking at recommendations right now, the top 2, Veljko Nikolic, who is a Serbian right back, 150k to 1.5 million pounds. For a right back that can currently slot into my lineup right now, and has the potential to 100% be better than anyone that I have in that spot currently. Then we have got Mr. Jun Bumfa from Birmingham United, the Thai winger right now, 950,000 pounds for someone that once again can slot right into my lineup and has the potential to be as good, if not better, than Yusufa Moukoko, who is currently in that spot in my lineup. The list goes on and on and on right now as well. There will be those times though that you can find some pretty good youngsters from the top tier for cheap prices. A majority of the time though, you can see he is 19. You look at Brazil, this player is 20 years of age. The older they get, the cheaper they're going to get because they don't think they're going to be able to hit that potential. That's when you pounce and you bring in those players for those cheap prices, because Matthias Albeck here is probably worth between 4 million to 7 million pounds from RB Leipzig. And then we look at Paulo Fernando from Fluminense. He has a release clause of 7.4 million pounds. But when looking at nations, what are the nations that we're going to be looking to bring in these top tier talent players, either current ability wise immediately or potential ability wise for the future? I'm going to pop up a list for you all right now, and some of these are probably going to surprise you on where some of these nations are landing on this tier list. Some of the best nations to look at for certain are countries like Serbia, the Czech Republic, or even Japan. You will find some incredible talents from those areas. When it comes to countries like England, Germany, Spain, France, those ones, they're going to kind of be scattered throughout on this list, as you can see, because sometimes you're going to be able to find them for super cheap, and sometimes they're going to be super, super expensive and not worth what you're going to end up paying. When they're worth it, they will be lower down in the leagues, like a Reading type level. But when you get to the continent of South America, you will see Brazil and Argentina aren't going to be as high as the ones above it right now. Those being Paraguay, Colombia, Ecuador, Uruguay, or even Peru. You'll even see a country like South Korea or Australia ranking above them simply because of the prices you have to pay to get world-class talent level players. So, how do I go about finding these players? Well, one, I scout them manually. I do it naturally. I'm not using recruitment focuses all the time. I go to countries like South America, to Thailand, to Serbia, to the Czech Republic, and I look at their youth squads, their U20s, their U19s, their U18s, to figure out, okay, what type of players are going to be stars for the future. And I scout the entire squads from those countries. Yes, costs a pretty penny to do so, and you need quite a few scouts to be able to do it, especially accurately. But when you do have all of that at your disposal, you're going to be able to get some pretty good scouting reports on these players at these national team levels and find stars for the future in your squad. However, for those of you that like using recruitment focuses, these are some of the recruitment focuses that I have. Sometimes I have them by region. As you can see, we got Northern Europe, we've got the American Youth. The American Youth is North and South America in their entirety. We have got Northern Europe being like Scandinavia as well as Germany, kind of that area. And then we've got even down here, we've got Asia and we've got Eastern Europe. We've got a couple that are region-based. But then we have some that are strictly nation-based as well, such as the 3 Euro gems. For me, in saves, I love scouting the Czech Republic, Bulgaria, and Georgia. You can find some incredibly good and very cheap youngsters from these countries for your saves. When I'm looking at my Oceania cheap one, it's called Oceania because I included New Zealand in it. So we've got New Zealand, Thailand, South Korea, Japan, and Australia. You should not have to pay over 10 million pounds for any player from these countries ever. They are always going to be cheap and they are always going to end up producing some big time talents. And even when it comes to the South American gems, you see here, I do not have Argentina or Brazil included. I've got Chile, Uruguay, Ecuador, Colombia, and Peru. Those are the ones that I am targeting. You're going to be getting cheaper talents from there that are just as good, if not better, than all of these other countries. So that list that I popped up earlier, and the list that I am once again popping up now for you guys, feel free, take a screenshot, have this at your disposal to where you are going to be able to know, all right, these are the best areas to get the best talent for the cheapest prices, or if you're willing to pay the big prices, you will see the nations that produce incredible talents, but you are going to have to pay a lot more to bring them in. So there we have it. That is how you can go ahead, scout on your own, or even set up recruitment focuses to bring in the best talents in the world of football within your saves for the cheapest prices possible. That can either have you bring in cheap talents for your first team and they become absolute legends for you, or you bring in cheap talents, loan them out, develop them, and then sell them on for major profit. If you enjoyed today's video, please feel free, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Subscribing is 100% free, so why not hit that sub button? Right now on screen, I'll be popping up some of my more recent videos here on the channel if you do wish to check those out, so definitely feel free to do so. But until next time, everyone, have a good one. Bye-bye.